Thank you, Tim. How are you guys doing tonight? Excellent, excellent. We are going to talk about the power of spirit and gratitude. And this is a, a great opening for it. What are you grateful for today? Okay, so let's talk a little bit of gratitude, being grateful, and then we talk a little bit of spirit because they are all so connected. Um, I'll start with me. I'm grateful that I made it. Uh, Today was a crazy day, but a good crazy day. You know when there are crazy days there, and there are good crazy days. Today I was trying to be vaccinated, and I am in a risk group, but it was a little bureaucratic. Had to get a doctor's note, and then they opened a Valencia site here for the FEMA, and I went from Winter Garden all the way down to um, south, and come back, and went to Metro S area, stayed there for 2 hours and a half, and I got vaccinated. It was great, and a lot. And I was working at the same time because in home office, you're working. There's people you need to talk to, and a lot of stuff happening, and I handled, and it was good. I was like so grateful, and but kids, the home, and everything, and I wasn't the scheduled speaker for tonight. So this is actually my good deed because I am feeling for somebody who couldn't actually make it. And I had the talk ready and in my pen drive. And then before I came to the center, it was like 6:25. I need to leave the house by 6:30 the most to make here, well, 5-10 minutes before time. The file was corrupted. I couldn't I couldn't get my talk that was ready. We have to do some adjustment here and there, but and I was like, what am I gonna do? In the same pen drive, I had this talk, the power of gratitude. That I did this talk in 2018, and it was there. It was so connected. I said, that's it. And then I just tweak it a little bit in 7 minutes, and here we are. And this is my my story of of a nice happy ending, because there is nothing better than being here and sharing with you. And if you ask me why I was in a high risk, I'm going to give a little bit of that story, because it had to do with a cardiac arrest, and which took me to experience in the spiritual world, and we'll share here with you. How about you? What are you grateful for? Anybody like to share? What are you grateful for, Will? That's good. I'm grateful that you serve this country, Will, and we appreciate everyone who has served and put their lives on the line. We're very, very grateful, and that's why I really appreciate Will was in a Vietnam War, and he's a shy guy. He's very humble, and we appreciate that. But we, not just you, but so many of brothers and sisters who are out there putting their lives on the line every day. It's something for us to be grateful. Thank you. Anybody else you're grateful for? I know you want to say something there, Celia. You having a good day? Having a good. There's one thing that, thank you very much. There's one thing that no matter what, it has to be the top of our checklist of, of, of the power of being grateful. It's to be alive, right? And that's one of the things that I appreciate so much in the Spiritist doctrine, because once you have some clarity where you came from, what you are, and where you're going to, it's a little bit easier to have that humility and that connection to gratitude to life, because it is so precious. It's so precious for us being here. We don't have the very clear conscience right now, because it would just kind of not help us very much. But some of us, I know for a fact myself, we have been waiting to be here incarnated in this time right now for many years. Some of us for decades, just waiting for the opportunity to find a nice spirit, a nice motherly spirit that would accept us, that would that would bring us in to being that family, and and have that perfect timing. Nothing, nothing that is done by God, and He's our creator. It's not like He created everything and just left it. He's there, and His laws, His love is at work every day, and that what makes life happen. Everything that happens to us is planned to the minimum detail. Our physical life, biologically, but our spiritual journey, it is something that we have a share because of our free will. And the more we have these experiences here, the more we evolve, and the more we have a say in the next time, because we take ownership for every single decision that we make, for everything that we do, and we know that everything will come up with a sum that at the end, when it's time for us to live here, go back to the spiritual world, it's like, did I do everything that I planned? Did I live here better than I arrived? And that's what we're here for, to really not just go through life and that's it. It's to really experience in the spiritual level. So it is, you know, even unconsciously, we have to be grateful that we are here. So there is some benefits of being grateful, the gratitude. There is this, um, we're gonna use this reference from Joana de Angelis. She has a book on psychology, but it's psychology of gratitude, which is beautiful. But one of the things that what, how, and when to be grateful, like we're talking about, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, we have to connect these three aspects of who we are. Our physical body, we're just, it's just an instrument. But who we are really, it's our spirit. How we manifest our spirit right here is through our emotions, to our thoughts, to our feelings, to our intelligence, to everything that we do in the logical sense and in the spiritual sense. And most of us, I would say all of us, we are educating our emotions, because there are perspectives of when we have tragedy in front of us, when we have despair, when we have even violence committed against us or committed against people who we love so much. And it will depend how emotionally educated we are and spiritually educated we are, what kind of level we are, in order to take that in, process it, and make the best of it without being affected in the level that, if we're not prepared, it will probably affect us so much, traumatize us in many levels, especially in the spiritual level. And the idea, the purpose is for us to live here again better than we left. But we will go through those trials. So it's important for us to always be aware of our emotional maturity and be critical about it. Could I act differently? Could I be a little mature about this situation or the other? Did I mourn longer than I'm supposed to for that loss? Am I still carrying on grudges and so on and so on? Um, Sermon of the Mount teachings, and that's once we have the need, where do I find, what kind of source of inspiration do I have to to find myself a little more balanced emotionally and spiritually? So Jesus brings these teachings in the Sermon of the Mount, that it's pretty much a renewal of what it was in the old times, in the Old Testament, with the Ten Commandments, which is like moral laws, but very firm, very rigid. Don't do this, don't do that, you know, and which was necessary at that time. We're still in that stage, and we need it, and it's still very very valid. But it needed more complement, because the more humane we become, the more that we interact with one another, the more that we help each other, that we need each other, and we grow, we grow. Jesus brought something that it fulfills that emptiness when we find ourselves alone, when we find ourselves in despair. And the Beatitudes, which is the blessings, right? Blessed are the pure in heart, blessed are the poor in spirits, meaning blessed are the humble. Gotta be humble. We have to understand that we are positioning in a situation that we are vulnerable. We are creatures who needs its creator. So we we find a lot of, not just in the Sermon of the Mount, but in the whole gospel. The gospel is not, you know, I know a lot of people who are very skeptical about reading scriptures. And I understand that, because there is a lot of literal interpretations that it's really, instead of helping, it brings more doubt, and it's really sometimes not as inspirational as we expect. It's um, the Bible, But there is, if you read, especially the Gospel, because the Old Testament, there's so much symbols. It's a little harder reading, but the New Testament, the Gospel, it's very clear. And if you read it with an open heart, an open mind, you see that the Jesus message, it's all about renewal. It's like, let's redeem ourselves in a way that we were renewing our minds. We are doing things better. We're not living just to preserve ourselves, just to make it from one day to another. Let's think about life in the eternal sense. We are not, we are special. He brought that. It's different. It's like, don't do this, don't do that. No, we are special. We have a place reserved for us that it's like our reward. It's going to be a tough life. That's why he says it's going to be tough. You're going to see what I'm going to go through. He say, but it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it. Everything can happen to our body, but what happens to our spirit, it's very, very, very different, and it's an intimate relationship that we have with God. So that's the importance of us aligning with the spirit of gratitude. When we're grateful, we can breathe, and we can feel this spiritual friends around us, and we can feel this connection with God, with the spiritual side of everything that we do, the people who are connected to us. because we are putting ourselves in a position of being humble, of being loving, of being vulnerable, but at the same time caring. Miracles do happen. I again, I'm a living proof of miracles. And in this, just a big graph here, but there are 31 reasons to be grateful. So if we look at this very quickly, at the center we have happiness, because that's how, at the end of the day, that's all we want, right? We just don't need, sometimes we don't even need to be extreme happy, but we just want to. But unfortunately, happiness is a little utopic. There's a there's a lot of disillusion once we work so hard to find happiness and we don't find it, because each one of us, we have a path that sometimes is very, very hard. We have so many trials to go, and we become frustrated. However, if we accumulate the experiences in all of those fields of our lives, emotionally, socially, personally, health wise, and career wise, and if we make the most of them, we will find relative happiness. Because really, really true happiness, it's not here yet, because Earth, our planet, we're going to a transformation. We see what's going on right now. It's a period of transformation. We are regenerating. So we have been inhabiting this planet for so many generations, over and over. We come and go. Who knows how many lives, how many past lives we had? Hundreds, thousands sometimes. And we are the product now that we have learned so much that we are now regenerating. And we have this ability to, thank goodness, we don't need to go to a different planet lower than what we deserve. We have a beautiful planet. And now we are coming, it sounds kind of difficult to believe it, but it will take time. But Earth, our beautiful planet, will be a planet where the entire population, we are going to be just good. We're going to have evil among us, and evil, it's terrible, but it's necessary. But the majority, it's necessary in the sense that we have to be, it's like we cannot graduate if we don't have a test, right? We have to do a test. We have to test our knowledge. We have to, there is not going to be place for, there's going to be evil, but there's not going to be place for it, because we're not going to desire to harm or hurt each other, or we're going to live more. So it is something that's coming. Who knows how long it will take? It won't take too long, because we already seeing that things are changing. So right now we are regenerating. But at the end, the more that we go together in this school of learning how to do better, how we improve ourselves, how to be more mature, we will find our relative happiness will become more happy, more full, and more complete. And in this in this book called The Psychology of Gratitude, Joanna de Angelis, who's this very enlightened, superior spirit, and she dictate this book to Valdo Franco. And one of the things that she mentions, that when the spirit reaches the goal of its immortal meaning and understands it with lucid discernment, it blesses everything and everyone, thanking them for the opportunity to be part of their conglomerate. So it's like, when you wake up There are days that you wake up, maybe you had like great dreams or you have a spiritual experience. You were taken to places that you receive so many great advices, and you wake up like different. You wake up like so much energy, so alive and 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 happy, and things are good and nothing really bothers you. We don't have too many of these days, but the idea is for us to have every day to be like this, and we're gonna get there. But once we are in that environment, in their internal environment of happiness, of that state of just like wow, it is the closest connection that we are living within our spirit. The farther that we are from our spiritual reality, who we really are, eternal beings, who it's really, we're here not just to learn and to to grow, but we also here to help. One of our missions here is to help God, the Creator, to continue His creation and to make that creation even better. We are co-creators. We are called for that. We are called to, as we become from the past, we were, say, like we were criminals, like, but the very worst, we're criminals in many, many lives ago, because that's the situation that we were in. Back then we didn't think we were criminals, but if you, in nowadays, if you're going to compare with today's value, maybe what we're doing back in the, medieval times, people didn't value life very much. People died at 35, 40 years old, and that was a life. And it's just wars, and just people just wanted to have fighting for property and to power. Still have a lot of fight for power, but back then, but it was worse. It was worse. Life didn't really value. It was like clans of people that. Oh, sorry. It was. So look how much we have evolved. It's like we were like pretty. Our state of mind and our moral values was pretty medieval as the time were. And now we're modern people. We're more mature. We are in a position that, and as we grow, and there is a trend. You see, the population of the earth is increasing, right? Every year is where we're going to 8 billion people sometime soon. We're 7 billion and change, and because we are right now, we can live with each other. We don't need to be. We are embracing each other. We still have a lot of work to do. There's still a lot of hate. There's still a lot of differences, intolerance of religion, of race, and philosophies and everything. But we comparing to where we were a few centuries ago and where we are now gives an idea that how things will be going forward. And that's when we are growing emotionally and spiritually. We are not living just for the material aspects of life. And that's good. That's a good thing. And that's what she says here. When the spirit reaches the goal of its immortal meaning, that's the goal, and understands it with lucid discernment. So if everything I do, and like I said, the code of life, the code of good living, of balanced living, is to understand that love moves life. If everything we do is done with love, respect, compassion, with gratitude, we are living this immortal meaning that who we are. So we understand that, and then we bless everything and everyone. Just like when you wake up, that morning, you love your wife or your husband more than ever before, and you don't understand where it comes from because you are you receive a blessing and you're passing on that blessing. That's phenomenal. Thanking them for the opportunity to be part of their conglomerate. The conglomerate is just here, right? Just be part of this. We are together in this. Does it make sense so far? Okay, we're talking a lot. We're kind of merging a little bit from gratitude and enter a little bit about the Spirit. And always, this is Jesus, not a religious figure. Jesus was not the one who implemented religion. He actually was Jewish, and he followed the the Jewish religion. But his mission was not a religious mission. His mission was a spiritual mission. There is a difference. Actually, religion it's more a man-made state than God made state because one of the things, and that, again, I don't want to get into it, but one of the things, if you go back, not to get into the Old Testament, one of the first things that, when uh, God showed up to Moses and gave Moses his mission, the first thing Moses wanted to know, what's your name? He wanted to know God's name. I said, you don't need to know my name. I am who I am. That was his answer. And God needed to actually show up in a form, in a material form, because that's how still very hard of understanding, because we need, still very human, very into our material. We need images. We need to touch things. Everything has to make human sense. So God was as close to human as possible, and the first thing that Moses went, so what should I call you? It doesn't matter. I am who I am, and that's it. And then when Jesus comes in his time, one of the things that he teaches a lot is this. When we serve, when we help others, when we have charity inside of us, and we live not just for our needs, we live for the others. We are living the will of God, because God doesn't. It's not interested to know the little things. They want to know how much love you have within you, how much you can do with this. How can you transform yourself and help others? So it was all about forgiving. It was all about don't worry about today. One of the beautiful aspects that he's in the Sermon of the Mount, and I even have here. Therefore, I say to you, do not worry about your life, what you eat, what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. It's not, and what you put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. And then it comes with a beautiful, who feeds the birds of the air? Look at those flowers. There's gotta be a loving father to take care of all of these immense creatures. Look at this beautiful nature. It's not created by chance. So his message was for us to look inside more. Let's don't worry so much in the outer being, the outer self. Let's see what we're made of. And then we have this conception of the spirit, which is a wrong, which is unfortunately it's not a good conception. And hopefully here with our talks, with this interaction that we have here, and with the media, we have this conception of spirit connected to death, right? It's like, once the we have most of us grew up with this conception that there is life after death. There's a lot of people who don't believe that there is life after death, and there is the factor of fear because don't want to think about that. And but the reality is that the spirit, it's always alive. The only difference between the spirits that are discarnated and us is this body. Other than that, they're living just as good, and they're among us. They live among us. There there are spirits who for the moment that we were born until the very last moment that we discarnate, when our time comes, when we're a little baby, until we go back, they're with us. They're with us right there. We never think about it, and that spirit is a superior friend. They have this, like an older brother, so much knowledge, or an older sister. They have so much knowledge and they have so much love, and they are the ones that work like an antenna for us sometimes. For there are some aspects of our lives that we pray a lot for, and they're like our spiritual, they're like guardian angels, right? So like they're spiritual attorneys. So oh my goodness, Valdo is going through this situation now, and um, he's asking God, he's asking Jesus for so much, and let me see what I can do here. And they intervene if what we ask for, because Jesus says, whatever you ask in my name, I'll ask to my Father, and it will be granted to you. So if you really, when we pray and we really put our heart, and we will have these brokers, these guardian angels, who will work very hard for us 24/7, and they're there. I I happen to have this experience that when we're talking about the power of spirit, it is one thing. Is this December? Most of you guys know my story already. But once I had this cardiac arrest, it took about 15 minutes for the ambulance to come to shock me. They were doing a massage on my heart and all, and I was pretty dead. And at that time, and then it took another 10, 15 minutes for them to take me to the hospital, pretty much dead, and I was in a coma there. In what happens in that interim, this picture was, I told in other talk that this was like my friend took this picture, and I didn't realize that was actually, some people took it serious. It's not a real picture. It's like it's put together. But that's exactly what happened. And at the moment that I fell down, I was immediately assisted by a group of spirits that I could see them, I could interact with them, and I could work with them because they were there to help me. And that's so. And I remember prior to that December 2016, when this happened, we always, I been really, working with the Spiritist doctrine since early 2010, late 2009. But there is a lot of stuff that I had doubts, really. But then when that happened to me, I said, look at that. I'm living it. Of course, emotionally, there's so much going on. But I had, like Joanna said, the discernment. I know exactly what was going on. And they were so good to me that they isolated me, for me not to be traumatized with the scene that was going on, because there's a lot of people screaming and crying, and a lot of stuff going on. And I was I was dying there, and I had a lot of friends who cared a lot for me, and it was very traumatic. And um, and I remember it was at that time that I one of the first feelings I had was this feeling of gratitude. Look at this situation. Look at me. I'm pretty paralyzed here. There is nothing I can do, and I have all of these people helping me out. And then when the ambulance came and took me to the hospital, they took me to the hospital too. And I could see, I could feel everything that was going on. And I was like, okay, but every every second something was happening, and I was I felt like sometimes like a baby, just like being carried on by mom, so warm and pretty much this scene here. When we made a little video, you can look at our YouTube channel. This is how I felt because on this parable of the paralytic, there is this four friends who wanted to help this paralytic to see Jesus because he had a lot of faith. But sometimes just having faith, it's you need a little more than that. And that's why we're talking about these friends that they can intervene in situations, the prayer and you don't see them, but you can feel them. And the time that we most need them, they're there. And those in this parable, these guys, they said there is no way we can get to Jesus, and but we need to get him there because he really believes he's gonna be healed. He's gonna receive a cure if he sees Jesus, if he just says Jesus. And they went all the way to the roof of the house. They broke in the roof. They brought the paralytic down. So Jesus already knew. It's like this guy's got a lot of faith, but look of what's going on here. Look how beautiful. And those were anonymous. You don't see their names. They just say four friends. Four friends. And that's exactly what my situation was. I didn't know who they were. They were none of my past relatives. They were just spiritual workers. And it was so amazing because I could see the two realities right in front of me. Myself living those 3 days when I was in the very same time that went down, I was already disconnected, and I knew I knew I wasn't dead physically because there was hope, and I was living that situation. But I could feel myself all the time in my spiritual side, and just being and just experiencing that. And what my wife is here, she doesn't like this part because it brings us bad memory. But one of the things that I felt when I was going through that situation, I asked God, I don't think, please, give me a moratorium here. I know I have a lot of debt, but if it's possible, be done your way, not mine, but if it's possible, I'd really like to finish what I started. I wanted to continue. I have a lot of people who I love, and I'm not ready to leave them. And but I'll be honest with you, and I didn't know if I was really gonna make it. And they were there with me. But it was such an incredible feeling of being loved, being helped, that if it was really my time, it would have been fine, because you have a lot of peace. You have a lot of, it's hard to explain this, but you find who you really are. It's like when you are in your spiritual state, it's a different reality. It's like you feel part of a world much better than here. That's why there's so much work for us to do here. But once you are in that situation, when we're talking about love, we talk about love, but we have no idea what love is really. We have moments of love here, but once you're there, it's so pure and it's so intense that if I'm ready to go back, but this is, I appreciate where I am. And it was because we, I had to, I was very lucky that I was preparing myself. I was, I was trying to understand all of this, what is a spirit, what are we here for? And because of what we learn, because the spiritist doctrine is nothing but living Jesus teachings. Once you can get to that point that you transform those what you learn into your emotions and you get that energy, you're going to store. Believe me, we right now we're storing so much good things every day, that every time that we are working into do something different internally to change ourselves, to get better, to be more connected to God. There is no prayers that's a bad prayer. Every prayer is good. Every time that we're doing that, we are doing exactly what He was asking us to do, to make that connection, to know that we are immortal. We have something much better waiting for us. We put that away, it's stored. In the time of need, you go, it comes back. It comes all back to you. So I'm very grateful that I've been part of this, and this has been very helpful. So, you know, do not, whatever it's going on to your lives or to the lives of people that you love so much, please help them understand the power of prayer, the power of of balancing our mental health with our emotional health and being connected to people. We all need people. We all need help. And have this conviction that there is guardian angels surrounding us. We just need to ask. We just need to knock and the door will open. Thank you very much. That was my message for tonight. Thank you.